first point before going to development, like writing Apex. First thing is, what do you understand by programming? The word programming. So, what do you understand by this word?
Sir, a set of instructions given for the computer to perform some specific task.
Right. This is Dipanjan, right?
Yes, sir.
I am not expecting any answer from you. I am just expecting answer from others
Right, sir.
because these are already done for you. I know that. So there is no point. Guys, who else? What is programming?
Sir, Shubham, programming is like refer to some kind of technological process which can be a human. I mean, send something, some human, some sending some task to computer to complete the task from their side.
Right. So first thing is that why it is required. Like what kind of instruction and what can be the output in that situation. Yeah, Nikita.
So actually, first of all, programming is a mode of communicating with the machine in their language. And for that reason, we know to, like, for example, if I go to some different country where some other languages are used, so programming is also that kind of a thing. Like for interaction of human with the machine, we need a language. For interaction of like for interacting with other people who don't know our language, we need to learn their language, right? So
Good.
yes.
Good. I got your point. The question is, what is the purpose when you are trying to communicate with with a person who does not know your language and you want to communicate something? There, in real life, there are different things for which you need to communicate. In this world, in this technology, what is the why we need to communicate with machine? What is our purpose? Why we are trying to do that? What is our ultimate goal? So the ultimate goal to communicate or to put set of instructions, what Dipanjan told, or what Sushobhan told, the important part is that we want to do some data manipulation. Simplest thing is we just want to do some data manipulation, and to complete that data manipulation, we are trying to communicate with this machine. Now the question is, we have done data manipulation from, like, say, thousands of more than 1,000 years, I would say. So anything, whatever we are doing, that is nothing but data processing and data. Like whenever you are seeing that anything, like if a bees is going on, you will understand that there is something happening, and for that you are going to do some other things as well. If it is raining, you are going under some shade, so you are actually processing that data. So human brain is quite capable of processing a huge amount of data. Now the question is, why we need to use computer? So the simplest thing, what is, like, computer is nothing but a machine. So there can be multiple types of machines, right? So computer is a specific type of machine. And why we use machine? To do repetitive job. So repetitive job means that is anything, any kind of work which is actually any kind of work which is actually we can do, but if we can use some machine for that repetitive job, that can uh, reduce some time from our different works what we are doing right now. And the second thing is that machine is typically you can say that is more perfect in this work of repetitive job. More perfect in the sense, say you have to push a nail in the wall, and you have to use a hammer. If you were beating that nail with a hammer every time, you cannot, when you are doing that by your hand, you cannot ensure that every time same pressure is actually put on that. That is very difficult for human being, but human being is capable of doing different kinds of process. uh, Anything innovative which we are doing, that is going to take some time, and there are repetitive job which is also taking up our time. So the important part is that any repetitive job which we can dedicate, or which we can delegate to someone who can do that perfectly, that is called a machine. Okay, so main focus for us is that if there is any repetitive job we are doing in this world, that we will try to create a program for that, and the machine will be handling that part, uh, and that is the more efficient way of doing that, because that will save our time and we can concentrate on other things. Real life example, say there is a kind of report. You have worked on reports and dashboards, right? Have you gone through that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyway, who haven't, there is a simple thing that is, you can log into Salesforce. There is a report tab, and in that report tab you can just create reports, you can create dashboards, which by which you can slice and dice the data. Okay, simply whatever data you have, uh, that you will slice and dice. Now the important thing is that you can create that report. Now say every day that report needs to be sent to a few people over email. Now this is a repetitive job, right? So for that we can automate that system. Whenever we are saying automating something, that means any repetitive job that will be done automatically. How that can be done automatically? There is a piece of code which is actually giving that instruction to the machine that please do this, like do send this report to this email every day morning at 7 a.m. So that is a repetitive job. So what it will do, otherwise if you have not done that, then every day morning you have to go into the system, you have to pick that report and you have to send that over email, you have to put those email IDs and all these things, right? So it will take some time for you. If you can automate this, then your effort is gone. Now one time effort you have given to write a program which will actually send this report every day. And now there are the more important parts is that, um, keep that in mind always. There is a concept of human error, like someday because of network issue or something you are sending that at 7:05 a.m. Okay, but machine is not going to do that. Every day machine will send that at same time. So human error can be avoided when you are going for digitalization, like this kind of process actually. And how that can be done, there should be some code written itself, like you can schedule a report. Now what I was just telling you, you can schedule a report. So what is happening at the background, Salesforce has already written some piece of code for that, which is actually doing that part. Now we are entering in the world where we can do some of this on top of Salesforce. Salesforce is not going to give you access of everything. Okay, so Salesforce is both SaaS and PaaS. SaaS is software as service, and PaaS means platform as service. What is platform? Platform means where you can a platform means where you can write your own code and build your own things. That is called platform. Anyway, what is software as service? Anyone?
So, can I give an example and tell?
Yep.
So, suppose I went to a restaurant and I have ordered a food. So, someone is cooking the food and preparing it and providing it to me. So, that is something like Salesforce software as a service, where we are given some predefined tools and tools and what to say, so softwares which we can like what is that terminology, modify or configure and then prepare something which is required
Not
for our
really.
customers.
Not really. So when I am saying software as service, that means there is a concept of cloud. Anyone else? Dipanjan?
Sir, any software that is hosted in the cloud where we do not have to download any software or install any software in the node or the client machine, and it can be accessed via a web browser, is a software, can be termed as a software as a service over the cloud. Or so I guess
Right.
Salesforce is one of the first softwares to be hosted as software as a service, SaaS.
CRM, one
Yes,
of
yes,
the.
Salesforce CRM. Yes.
So you can
Sir,
understand who.
uh, so can I
Yeah,
ask a question?
yeah, yeah.
Sir, what about the AWS and Azure?
AWS is a platform. Okay. In that platform, like platform as a service, where you can build your own things.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So there are two different things: this software as a service and platform as a service. I am coming to that. Before that, uh, let's understand what is this difference. Like what Dipanjan was saying. Like a real life example is you all have used almost, that is Microsoft Word or the whole suite, Office suite, right? So Office 365 and the previous versions of that, what is the difference in between? If you think it uh, in real time, that is first time what like previously what we were doing, like we were installing Office in our machine. Until and unless I am installing that, I cannot use Word or Excel or PowerPoint or anything. Okay. Now with Office 365, what is happening? Right now, you have one account in Microsoft. You are logging in through some browser, and there you can store your files, you can retrieve your files, and you can just work on those without installing that in your machine. That is the possibility. Most of us, we don't understand because there is a cloud version and there is a installed version, and we are actually we can just when we are storing in machine, that is that can be stored in cloud as well at the same time. So most of us don't understand, but that is the possibility, right? So that is the change. So something which is on premises means you have to have the physical copy, you have to install it, you need to, if it is some kind of web application, you need to host that web application somewhere. In cloud means you don't need to, all these things are happening at the background, but you don't have to bother about that, because some company who is providing that facility to you, they are taking care of all these things. So what is the benefit? There are two, actually two. First thing is that the overhead of maintaining the process, like you have to maintain the server, you have to take some space from server, you have to install the things, all these things are gone, so it is more easy to use. Second thing is that only thing you need is your uh, internet and one machine. Okay, so previously what was the thing, like you wanted to use your uh, some word document file which is stored in your machine, and you have gone somewhere, you haven't taken the machine with you, so you cannot access that file. Now the scenario is, with this Office 365, if you were storing that in cloud, if you have stored that in cloud, you have gone somewhere else, if you got any machine, and if you have internet in that machine, now you can access it. The simplest thing is that. Okay, so that is the way the world is. I'm not saying it is changing, it is already changed. Okay, so 12, 10, 12 years back when I have started with Salesforce, at that time it was something which is coming in. Now it is the process. Now it is not something which is coming in future. So future is something else. Anyway, that you can already see in Chat GPT and all. Anyway, so now in Salesforce, sorry, so there are two parts. One is software as service. Software as service means you have some thing you which is already prepared for you, which is already built, pre-built, and you can use those functionalities. So if you log in into Salesforce, you can look into all the tabs, you can store some data there, you can do the process, like you can create a lead, you can convert that lead. So all these things are there already. So that is the software. Okay, CRM software. I'm sure you know what is CRM, customer relationship management, and Salesforce initially started with CRM. Now they are in everywhere. So they are not bound within CRM right now. Anyway, so that is one part. The other part is platform as service, means you are getting some platform where you can write your own code. Like ideally, if you haven't heard about this, that is one thing is called Heroku. So in Heroku, you can just create your own application and you can host that in Heroku. So Heroku is nothing but a platform as a service. But Salesforce is both SaaS and PaaS, that is software and platform. What is that platform? In that platform, you can build your own functionality, but within the ecosystem of Salesforce. So that is a PaaS, but that is a limited PaaS. Limited means that is not like you can do anything and everything. So whatever is exposed to you by Salesforce, that part you can work on when you are actually working in uh, PaaS of Salesforce. Okay, and in that PaaS, in that platform, what are the things you can do? You can write Apex code. Apex code. What is Apex code? Apex is a language 99% similar to Java, and it is actually giving you the way to work with the background tables. Tables means the database. Okay, you can do your data manipulation, and you can access the data whatever is stored in your Salesforce instance, that is your current instance. Okay, so that is one part. Second part, you can do integration with this. Integration means there is a different system and you are fetching data or sending data to that different system, to that other system. Okay, so mostly these two things you can do. And in this platform you have other things as well, like for, so the backend process, so the backend code, that part we handle with Apex. The front end part, front end means when you are creating your program to do something, there are different scenario where you need to take some input from the end user, or you need to show something to your end user. Okay, so say a real life scenario. You all know about account and contact in Salesforce, right? So what we do, for account, we go to account tab and click new to create one new account. Once account is created, after that, if I want to create two contacts associated with that account, then we have to go back to contact, or we have to go to the related list of that account, and from there we can create this, create the contacts associated with that account. Now say there is a requirement that user should not go into different screens to create all these things. So what will happen, so the requirement is you have to create, you have to provide the way to the user so that they can create one account and two contacts from a single screen, right? So if this is the requirement, then you need to take the input from the user anyway, right? The account name, account details, and also the contact name, contact details, whatever details like the phone number, email, address, blah blah blah, whatever you have to put, that you have to take input from the user. User is going to put that, but that person, they don't want to move into multiple screens to create that. Okay, they need to limit the number of clicks, right? So in this scenario, what will happen? You have to create some user interface, that is UI, which is called as UI. You have to create some UI by which you can take the input from the user, the details of the account and the details of the contacts, and at the background you have to write some logic which will actually create those accounts and contacts and associate those contacts with that account. There is some process you have to create. Yep, Dipanjan.
Sir, the scenario you explained,
Mhm.
I think, sir, this scenario can be achieved by without using code, by using flows.
With flows we can, but there are more complex scenarios which flows cannot handle right now, till now. So anyway, the vision for Salesforce was, by 2020 we will not write any code. So zero code, they wanted to achieve. They couldn't, but at least they have come up with something where you can minimize your code. Now let me add one more thing here. When you were creating that account, uh, at the same time you have to check for duplicate. In this scenario, you have to write some apex even if you are using flow.
Yes, sir.
So my scenario is, whenever I am creating the account and those two contacts, first I will check for duplicate. Okay, if there is any duplicate, I will, just give me 1 minute. I will show those duplicate accounts to you. Okay, and I will allow you to choose from those accounts. Either you can choose from that account, or you can create a new account. If you have to do this thing, flow cannot handle this requirement, Dibanjan.
Right, sir. Sir, but should we minimize the use of code, or
Exactly, we must. So I will come to this point as well. Before starting this is the first preliminary class. Here I am trying to explain all the scenarios. Okay, so I will come to this point as well, like when we should write code and when we should not. So anyway, where we were, like, what I was trying to explain, like, you have one scenario where you have to create the UI, UI means user interface, from where you can take the input, and at the background you have to do those things, that is insert, associating records and all. Okay, so this UI can be created in different ways. Previously, say 6 to 7 years back, 8 years back, the only way to create this UI was Visual Force page, because at that time Lightning was not in place. 8 9 years 8 years back, I'd say. So at that time you had to create the Visual Force page to take this user input, but now you can create this UI in Visual Force, or you can create this UI in Lightning either with Order or with LWC. Okay, and there are other things as well, like I'm not going into detail for now. Just keep in mind that mostly you have to create one UI and one backend process, that is one Apex, which will do this manipulation, the data manipulation at the background, that is insert and associating records and all. So we are going to learn the Apex part in these sessions. Okay, where we are going to look into how we are going to do this data manipulation things. So once that part is done, then we will move into the front end part, that is the UI, how we can create those UI, what kind of challenges we can face there. This kind of things we will look into uh, when we are covering the UI part. Now the most important thing, what Dipanjan was saying, like when we should write code and when we should not. So ideal scenario for any requirement in real life, right? Not in these sessions. The in real life, when you are going to work for any company, any project, anything, like always keep in mind, writing code is the last option for you. If you can do that without writing code, please do that. First thing is that writing code in Salesforce is called customization. Customization means you have the configurations. What is configuration or out of the box procedure? You have all these things, that is page layout, creating object field, page layout. Then you can just do the remaining work as well, like you can create validation rule, you can use approval process, you can use flows. Previously there was workflow, which is gone now, and we are using flows now. Also the process builder is gone, like in between we were using process builder. But anything for which you don't have to write code, that is called out of the box uh, items of Salesforce, and that is also called configuration. So configuration, always try to achieve your requirements by configuration. If you can't achieve that, then only you should go for customization. Any Salesforce project, Salesforce is saying that not whatever functionalities you have implemented, not more than 20% you should write code. But there should be projects, there are projects where 100% configuration, achieving that by 100% configuration is possible. So always try to use. That's why I have asked whether you have completed your admin or not. So first thing is that you should be you should consider customization only when all the roads are blocked in configuration. Okay, so now let's come into this part. So the objects, like in Salesforce we have uh, lots of standard objects, and we can create custom objects as well. So I believe everybody know that part, right? Objects in Salesforce.
Yes, sir.
If yeah, Shushobhan.
স্যার ওই 20% যেটা আছে বললেন ওটা বুঝতে পারলাম না। ওটা একবার প্লিজ রিপিট করবেন।
Salesforce is saying that if you are implementing any project, while implementing any functionality,
Okay.
80% should be done through configuration, and only 20%, for only 20% you should consider customization. But still, that is the maximum limit they are saying. So it is not hard and fast, but they are saying that this should be your ideal implementation. Okay, so
Okay, sir.
Salesforce is trying to say that configuration is the way by which you can achieve your maximum things in any project. Clear?
Yes. Okay, sir. Clear.
Okay. So, first thing is that what is object? In Salesforce, whatever we are seeing as object, that like this term object is little messy when you are coming into Apex, because when we are working with any programming language, uh, object, this word object is actually referred to something else. I will come to that. What is that? But I'm not going into that right now. But the important thing is that, so for now, for this Apex sessions, whenever I'm referring to account, contact, or any other standard or custom object, I will uh, just keep in mind that these objects are nothing but database tables. So in Salesforce, um, the tables, the database is not open to us, that is not exposed to us directly. The way to access the database and the database tables is via these objects. Okay, so these are nothing but database tables which we are using: this account, contact, opportunity, lead, campaign, task, event, anything, any custom object you are creating, all these things are nothing but database tables. Okay, where we can store data, where we can store data. The concept of object in programming language is little different, and I will come to that. Okay. And why these things are actually calling like getting called as object, that also I will explain later. But for now, whenever there are two different types of objects we will come across when we are writing Apex code. One is class and object, one is Salesforce object. Salesforce objects are nothing but database tables. Keep that in your mind. Okay, we will go to that next day, probably, that what we can do with objects. Probably not next day, probably after a couple of classes. First thing, till now, whatever I have told, is that clear to everybody, or anything you want me to explain in detail once again? Hopefully that is clear to everybody. Okay, so now let's come into writing the code. Okay, when we are trying to write any code, what happens? Oh, there is another problem. I forgot. Just a minute. Hmm. So, Anumizda, Shonda, any one of you present here?
Yeah, Shobhanjit is there.
Shonda, I'm just dropping off, and I would be joining from a different browser. Otherwise, I cannot share my screen. Okay.
No problem.
I believe you are there, because
Yeah, yeah, I'm there.
you, yeah, it should not get closed then. Okay, let me rejoin, guys. Just give me 1 minute. Sorry guys, I cannot share my screen from there. That's why I have to join from another screen. Okay, hopefully you can see my screen now. You can see my screen, right?
Yes, sir, this is visible.
Okay. So this is the admin, that is administrative part, the setup thing, right? From here, if you come to setup, then you will see the screen. So one thing is called developer console. Whenever you writing your code, first thing, first uh, important thing to understand is that how to use this developer console. So here you can see file, edit, debug, test, and your workspace. So I will come to these things later. Let's go into how we can write the classes and how we can start using this thing. First thing is that if you go to new, you can see so many things. Sorry, Apex class, trigger, Visual Force page, component, all these things are there. Lightning interface and all these things. When we would be covering the LW Aura part, we will come to this. Let's go to this thing. This is Apex class. We will start with this thing only. Okay. If you click on this, you have to put some name, say, so it will give you this screen. What is public? What is class? What this thing is, I will come to that. Before that, one thing to remember, API version. Salesforce actually provides this platform, and it is upgrading the API version, and more functionalities are actually getting included. Some of the old functionalities are actually getting discarded, okay, deprecated. So you can see all these things. So you can use 53 is the least one and 57 is the latest one. So always keep your version as the latest one whenever you are creating the classes. Now, my God. Uh, let's come to one class. What is public? I will describe later. For now, think whatever you are writing, however it is written, write it in that way. Before going to these things, let's understand what is class. So, when we are writing any program, there are two different ways of writing program. One is procedural, one is object oriented. So, what is procedural and what is object oriented programming? Now, the question is why I am doing this Google search. First thing, when you are writing code, remember that syntax, there are two different parts. One is syntax, one is the logic. Syntax is what I am writing specifically. This is called syntax, whatever I am writing here. Okay. And this is logic. What are these things? I will come to those things later. So literally, when you are doing the things, you will understand one basic part. Basic thing is that how you are writing your code is your syntax. What you will write, that is your logic. This how and what are very, very important. Okay. So how you will write, you have to follow the specific syntax. You have to provide specific instruction. Say you are using one washing machine, and you have different set of buttons there. Okay, the way to provide the instruction to washing machine is you to press the buttons, proper button. So how much weight you are putting on that, what is the uh, quantity of dirt in those clothes, depending on that you have to push specific buttons, like whether it is light or medium or heavy, or this kind of buttons are there. What should be the timing? You can set timer for some of the machines. All these things are actually providing the instruction. So here we are providing the instruction by writing this code, this syntax. This is called syntax, how we are writing a code. Okay. But what you are going to achieve through a program, that is your logic. Like if you have to just do the sum, okay, you want to just uh, add two integer values, then the logic to get the answer of that is something which you are writing from your own, like how you are exploring or exploiting the way the syntax can be arranged. So this is nothing but the arrangement of the syntax, and this needs to be perfect, this arrangement of the syntax. So I cannot write a first and then integer later. So whenever I am trying to define one variable, this should be the syntax. Okay. So the arrangement of these words, uh, you can say words or this syntax is specific. You have to follow that. You cannot do something else there. Okay. But the logic, how you are writing it, that is up to you. Okay. So I know this, it is not clear to you right now, but it will be clear when I am going to write this logic for a bigger problem or bigger program. Then you will understand how you can change your logic, or how same uh, kind of output can be achieved through uh, different programs, that I will explain. For now, just come into this thing, like there are two different parts. One is syntax, another part is logic when you are writing your code. So syntax is nothing but set of instructions, and that should be specific. Logic is how you are building those using those instructions, how you are building your logic, so that like the to get the outcome, that is the important part. Now, before coming to this thing, in Salesforce, we are writing code in Apex. There are different languages in this world. There are other languages, like starting from basic C, C++, Java, Python. There are so many languages. So there are two different types of languages we mostly use. One is procedural, one is object oriented. I am not going into machine language and high level language. That part I am skipping off. So what is procedural language and what is object oriented language? I am not going to give you all these details right now, because that is going to take huge amount of time. So go through this, what is procedural and what is object oriented, And uh, this top-down approach, bottom-up approach, this one I will explain later, probably, but not that much required. Only thing is that what is the basic difference that you can go through? You can go through any other article. This is one of that which I am providing to you. Okay, and the basic thing what you have to keep in your mind when you are writing code in uh, object oriented language, first thing is that you have to define a class. Okay, let me go to this. First thing is that you have to define a class. And what is class? And then if I am saying if this is the class, then there is another thing which comes at the same time, that is object. And this object is different from your standard Salesforce or custom Salesforce objects. So these are not Salesforce tables. Okay. So what is class and what is object? That is one of the important aspect we have to understand. Okay. So let me so what is class and what is object? That is important because these are the building blocks of your program. So whenever you are building something, you have probably everybody you have seen those things, those basic building blocks by which you can create those shapes and all these things like small cart, rail, the small pieces of things which you join together to build a bigger thing. So those are for kids. I believe everybody have seen that. So here, these classes and objects are the building blocks for you. So building blocks of your program. So what is class? Classes are user-defined data types that act as the blueprint for individual objects, attributes, and methods. What is individual object, attributes, and methods? I will come to this specifically. And what is object? Object is nothing but instance of a class. Here, I have to use some crude way to explain the things as you are not exposed to it till now. So class is nothing but a blueprint. Okay, when you are thinking, say you have to design a card. Okay, so first you have to plan it on plan it in on pen and paper, right? So like for that car, how many wheels will be there? What would be the seating arrangement? What would be the engine capacity? What type of brake I have to use? Now, when I am saying car, means something which can move, okay, depending on wheel. And if I take it from a bigger angle, from bicycle to train, uh, anything you can put it within this concept of car. Okay, so the simplest one I would say the bicycle, which you can drive, and probably one of the most complex thing is train. So if I use this word car as a concept that depending on wheel, something which can move, which can be driven, which can be uh, I can put the direction. Okay, I can control the speed. all these things, if I think in my head, then I have to put these details somewhere in pen and paper and put the diagram somewhere. Okay. And the specifications as well. So that would be the blueprint. Okay. You are with me till now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So first thing is that you have to put the details, minute details of that card if you want to build it. So all the details, like say if you are trying to use any engine, then what should be the capacity of that engine? If you are trying to move that, what should be the source of energy? In case of bicycle, the source of energy is the uh, physical energy of that person, of the driver. Okay. So that is actually the driving force of that system you are trying to build. How many wheels will be there? How the brake will work? All these things you have to put somewhere in pen and paper, right? So that is called the blueprint. Say if you want to set up one building, in that also you have to think about how many stories it would be, how much depth I have to go under the layer, like under the soil, and I have to put the root of that building. Okay. And what type of brick I would be using, which cement I would be using, all these details you have to put somewhere in pen and paper. Also the structure of the building, right? So that is the blueprint. You are getting the basic or the idea of blueprint, everybody, right? What I I am trying to explain as blueprint is nothing but the concept of uh, building. Like before building the actual thing, you have to do the planning part and the details, minute details you have to put. Okay. But at the same time, think about this. If you want to drive a car, you cannot drive the blueprint, right? So to drive a car, you need a physical car. So the blueprint cannot be driven. That is the details. Everything, all the minute details are there in that piece of paper. You have put down in, like, with that pen and paper. You have detailed out all the things there. But you cannot drive it till now because you do not have that physical car. So you have to build that car itself depending on that blueprint, right? And that car should be like, it would be matching each and every details from that blueprint. So that physical car which you can drive. In case of bicycle, the that physical bicycle you need to have, right, to drive that. So that physical thing is called object, and this blueprint is called class. So that means whenever you are trying to develop your logic, the minimum thing what you have to do is you have to write your class first. Okay. And then you can use, you can create object, that is the physical instance of that class. Okay. That physical instance of that class will be used to execute whatever you have written, whatever logic you have written, whatever variables you have defined in your class. To access that, to utilize those things, you need to have one object. Is it clear till now? I'm sure it is not 100% clear, but at least theoretically, whatever I have said, is that clear till now? What is blueprint and what is object? Like what is the class and what is object?
Yes, sir.
Sir, yes, sir, clear, but not completely clear, sir.
Yeah, 100% clear it will not be. When I will come into the actual, like, the code, then it would be clear for you. Priyanka, you were saying something.
Yes, sir, almost clear.
Okay. So for everybody, I am hoping that till now what I have said, that part is clear to you, not the exact things that I will come later. Okay. So the initial part, the blueprint and the physical entity of that blueprint, that is the object. These concept of these two things are very important to write your code. Now let's come to this. Hmm. So this is my class. Okay.
Actually,
Whenever
utilize, sir,
Mhm.
actually, utilize the class, we have to record some object.
we require some object, yes, we have to define the object so that
Okay.
we can use the functionalities or whatever we have written within that class. To access those things, we have to define the object.
Okay.
I will come to this. So and also I will show you how, like, what is the way to access that. So to define a class, first thing is that we have to write this keyword, class. Okay. So what is public for now? Ignore it. I will come to this. You can see public, private, protected, all these things. I will come to this part later when I would be explaining access specifier. This is one of the specific thing. I will come to that. Before that, just for now, you think that this is something I have to write for now, at least for next 2 3 classes. Okay. Until and unless I am describing what is public. Important thing is that class. This keyword you have to use when you are trying to define a class in Apex. Okay. So there are a couple of things which you have to write exactly whatever is given. And there are few things where you can write of your own, the strings, the names, or I would say there are few things for which you have the flexibility that you can write that or type that of your own. But again, there are some other uh, there are some guidelines, I would say, which you have to follow. So when we are writing a class, first we have to use this keyword class, then you have to give some name of your class. This thing, this name of your class, name of your variable, name of your method, this name thing you can put whatever you want. But whenever I am saying whatever you want, that means within the guideline of Salesforce. So what Salesforce is saying, you cannot use number at the beginning. I cannot write 4 my class, okay, or 1 my class, but I can write my class 1. That is possible. Second thing is that special characters you cannot use here. Okay, you can use mostly you can use underscore, but you cannot use other things. You cannot use hash. Okay, you cannot use comma or semicolon within the name. Okay, so for now, keep in your mind, you should be using only characters while creating the name. And when you are writing a class, all the words, whatever you are trying to put, first letter of those words would be capital and remaining would be in small case. Okay. Second thing, when you are defining your class or anything, try to mention the name in a way so that you can understand after 2 years if you are looking into this class at least you can understand what is the purpose of this class. Okay, so give some meaningful name to your class. So my first class I am writing here so that you can remember after that that yes, this is the first one I have written. I'm not saying you have to write my first class. You can write on the first class. That is also fine. You can write first Apex class. Second thing is that whatever words you are using here, you cannot use space. Within this name, you cannot use space. Okay. So uh, now the first thing is that we have written one class, but till now the body is blank. What when I am saying body, body means the structure of a class from where I can identify from where it is starting and where it is ending. The start and end of a body. So, how can I understand the way uh, Apex is providing that to you is second bracket. So, second bracket open and close. So, whatever is written within this parenthesis would be the body of the class. So, you are enclosing the body within this parenthesis. So, the second bracket, first, second bracket open and second bracket close. Within this, whatever you would be writing, that would be part of this class. It would be the body of the class. Okay. So, a class can have, like, would have three things, three or four things. For now, you will consider only two things. One is class name, another thing is class body. To define the class name, first we have to write that class and then name. Public by default we are writing now, and to define the body we have to give this second bracket open and close. Within that we have to write the write whatever we want to write within this class. Okay, so this is the first part. I'm not sure whether I should move forward or not today because I have already gone through multiple things that you have to go through. Okay, let me share another thing.
So could you share the link, the URL for the previous one, like the class and the objects? That
Yes, I have already shared here in the meeting chat.
so, but that is for the difference between procedural and object-oriented programming.
Right. What else? The other one.
Yeah, the object and the class definition and the explanation.
Object and class definition. Okay, I will share that. No issue.
Means not that, sir. So previously the one which you explained us, what is a
Yep,
class
yep,
and an
yep, yep.
object. Yeah, that
I
one.
will. I will. I will. Anyway, I will go through more deeper of that. Um, so, what is Apex? Apex language highlight. Before this data type overview, go through this. Go through this part. Okay. Okay, so quick recap. What are the things we have seen today? First thing is what is SaaS and PaaS, software as service and platform as service. In platform, what are the things we can do mostly? What is the reason of having PaaS in Salesforce? Configuration should be 80% or more than that. Customization should be less. We would be using code only when it is required, absolutely required. Second thing, after that, what we have seen, like the basic part, like in any when we are trying to write, we are trying to develop some program. There can be two different parts. One is related to UI, one part is related to the backend. So the backend part is actually Apex, which is mostly 90%, more than 90%, 99% almost similar to Java. That is another object oriented language I have referred. So beyond that, after that, we have just seen that um, what or how we can write something in object, like Apex is object oriented programming. So the basic thing, what is class and what is object? If we have to write a class, what is the keyword we have to use? Till that part, I am just keeping it till that part today. Next day, we will see how or what we can write within a class. And if we define the object, how those things, like I have told that blueprint and the physical entity, right? So that blueprint to physical entity, how that is actually converting, or how that is coming, what is the difference between that blueprint and that physical entity, how we can utilize that physical entity. Okay, so that thing I will show you next day. uh, and the physical entities, what how that looks like actually in memory. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Okay, sorry guys. So next day we will go through this, what we can write within class. Actually, there are two things we can write within class. One is variable we can define, and one is method, that is a function we can define. So we will come to those things next day. Till that part, what you have to go through is that what is object oriented programming basics. Okay, whatever things you the link I have shared, you can look into any other link. You can look into what is object oriented programming, the theoretical part. Practical things we will come later. What is Apex, and in Salesforce, what is the use of Apex, what we can do using Apex. So these basic things theoretically, and this class and object concept of class and object, go through these things. Next day we will for first 5-10 minutes we will go through these things, and then we will come into defining one class properly. Like, we have only defined a class, but we haven't written anything today. We will write the first code or basic things there, and we will show you exactly what is the like when you are instantiating, what is going to happen. Instantiating means you are actually from your class you are creating the object. So this concept of blueprint and the physical entity, the physical card, physical bicycle, that concept is actually that is going to help you a lot if you understand that properly. Okay, any question?
Sir, I have some issue regarding class schedule actually.
Class schedule.
Yes, sir. Saturday actually office আছে তো ওটা Sunday possible class.
uh okay, let me stop the meeting recording then.